Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into something I think you'll find really fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
It's about how women are finding empowerment and independence through content creation.
Interest.
We're going to be looking closely at an article called Women in Content Creation, Empowerment and Independence.
Okay.
And it's got some truly inspiring stories and some interesting facts that I think might change the way we think about online spaces. What do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable how this whole trend is playing out, right? Like it kind of touches on everything, like
Yeah.
changing expectations for women, the rise of the digital economy, and it just shows how powerful individual voices can be online.
Exactly. And one of the things that really stood out to me was how content creation is like this game changer for women who might be facing barriers in their lives.
Mm.
We're talking things like societal pressures, family objections, or even just the need to be financially independent.
Right, and the article makes a really good point about this, I think, that even in 2020, there is still this idea that, like, it's okay for women to study and get educated.
Yeah.
But when it comes to actually joining the workforce, that's where they start hitting these roadblocks.
Yeah, it's almost like their potential is being stifled, you know?
Right.
But content creation offers this amazing workaround.
Yeah.
It gives women this path that's flexible, independent, and they can pursue it on their own terms.
From anywhere.
From anywhere.
Yeah.
So crucial for women who might be in situations where, like, traditional jobs just aren't an option.
Absolutely. Like, imagine being a single mom facing financial struggles,
Oh, yeah.
and suddenly you discover this whole new world of opportunity.
And that's exactly what happened to Swagata.
Oh, yes. Well, got it.
She's one of the women featured in the article.
Okay.
She was going through, like, a really rough time, and content writing became this lifeline for her.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't just about the income, although that was important, but it was also about finding a sense of purpose and regaining her confidence.
Yeah. It's amazing how she was able to, like, turn her skills into this source of strength and empowerment,
Right.
during such a difficult time. It just highlights how adaptable and resilient women can be, especially when they're given the tools and the platform to create their own success.
Her story really resonated with me.
Yeah.
I bet it will with a lot of our listeners too. But let's take this idea of content creation as a career path a step further. The article also points out that women are naturally gifted when it comes to communication,
Mm-hmm.
attention to detail, and understanding human psychology.
It's almost ironic, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
there was a time when those qualities were actually seen as weaknesses
Right.
in the business world.
Yeah.
The article mentions how women's writing style used to be criticized for not being assertive enough.
Right. But now those same qualities are in high demand.
Yeah.
Being able to connect with an audience on a personal level,
Mhm.
empathetic level, that's what makes content truly effective.
Exactly. It's like a reflection of how the whole landscape of, like, marketing and communication is evolving.
Yeah.
Like, as the internet gets more crowded, people are craving authenticity, right?
Right.
They're tired of being bombarded with these, like, aggressive, salesy messages.
They want to feel like they're connecting with a real person, someone they can trust. And women, with their natural ability to build relationships,
Yeah.
and create a sense of intimacy, they're really good at that.
It's like the very traits that were once dismissed
Right.
are now being recognized as, like, the keys to success in this new digital age.
So we've talked about content creation being a path to financial independence
Yeah.
and a way to break free from those traditional limitations. But the article dives into another layer as well, the way it's challenging those outdated expectations for women.
Yeah.
Moving beyond the trophy wife image
Yeah.
and embracing a more multifaceted role.
You hit the nail on the head. It's about women defining their own roles, both within their families and in society as a whole. Content creation allows them to contribute intellectually, creatively, and financially.
Right.
They're not just someone's arm candy, they're active participants in shaping the world around them.
I love that. It really captures the essence of what this shift is all about. The article features a really inspiring woman named Bethika Biswas.
Oh, okay.
She's a seasoned content writer who talks about the liberating power of financial independence, especially for women who might be returning to work after a career break.
Right. That's a demographic that often faces, like, significant challenges
Oh, yeah.
in the, like, traditional job market.
Absolutely.
Think about the societal pressures, the gap in their resumes, the potential lack of confidence.
Right.
You know?
Content creation offers them a way to hit the reset button.
Yeah.
to regain those skills and re-enter the workforce on their own terms
Absolutely.
without being judged by those traditional standards.
Yeah.
It's incredibly empowering.
And this is all happening at a time when the demand for content has exploded.
Right.
The article mentions how internet access has doubled since 2010,
Wow.
creating this massive need for content creators.
So not only are women finding empowerment through content creation,
Yeah.
but they're also stepping into a field with incredible growth potential.
Right.
They're perfectly positioned to capitalize on this digital boom. And the article even argues that they might have an advantage in this space.
That's right. It cites Annie Overman,
Okay.
who observes that women's subtle and soft communication, that ability to persuade and connect
Yeah.
through a more nuanced approach, is highly valued online. It's not about being like pushy or aggressive.
Right.
It's about building trust and fostering like genuine engagement.
And that's something women excel at.
Yeah.
It's like we're witnessing this perfect storm of opportunity and talent, and it's just the beginning.
Yeah.
The impact of women's voices in content creation is only going to grow from here.
It's really exciting to think about where this trend might lead. Like, what kind of changes will we see in the way we communicate and market online
Right.
as more women bring their unique perspectives and skills to the table?
Exactly. Now, I know we've been throwing around this idea of subtle and soft communication, and I think it would be helpful for our listeners to really understand what that means.
Yeah. You're
Like, what does that actually look like?
It's a style of communication that focuses on building relationships, fostering trust, and connecting with an audience on an emotional level. It's about persuasion through understanding and empathy rather than forceful arguments or, hard-selling tactics.
Right. So it's more about creating a dialogue,
Exactly.
a sense of shared understanding,
Yeah.
rather than just broadcasting a message.
Exactly. And it's a style that's like particularly well suited to the online world where people are just bombarded with so much information.
Right.
And noise. They're craving authenticity, vulnerability, and connection. And that's something that women content creators are really good at delivering.
And that brings us back to this idea of empowerment, right?
Yeah.
Because content creation isn't just about making money or building a career. It's about finding your voice, sharing your story, and connecting with others who resonate with your experiences.
It's about building community, challenging stereotypes, and shaping the way we perceive the world around us.
Now, I don't want to get the impression that content creation is all sunshine and roses. There are challenges and potential downsides that we need to acknowledge as well. We'll explore those in more depth in the next part of our deep dive.
That's a really important point. It's crucial to have a balanced perspective and to remember that while content creation can be incredibly rewarding, it's not without its complexities.
Exactly. But before we move on, I want to circle back to Swagata's story for a moment.
Okay.
Her journey really highlights the transformative potential of content creation. Here was a woman facing some serious challenges. Financial struggles, single motherhood, and the emotional toll that comes with that.
And yet she was able to not only survive, but thrive by leveraging her skills in this growing field. She found a way to turn her passion into a source of income. But more importantly, she regained her confidence and built a sense of purpose that extended beyond just her work.
It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And it speaks volumes about the accessibility of content creation as a career path. You don't need a fancy degree or a ton of experience to get started.
That's what makes it so empowering.
Right.
It's a field that's open to anyone with a story to tell and the willingness to put in the effort.
So for our listeners out there who might be feeling stuck or unsure of what their next step should be, I want you to really think about Swagata's story.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most unexpected paths can lead to the most fulfilling destinations.
And who knows, maybe content creation is the key that unlocks your own potential.
We'll delve into more inspiring stories and practical tips in the next part of our deep dive. But for now, I want to leave you with this question to ponder. What unique skills and experiences do you possess that could be valuable in the world of content creation?
Take some time to reflect on that, and we'll pick up the conversation in part 2. It's fascinating to think about how these subtle communication skills that women bring to content creation could actually change the way we communicate and market things online in a broader sense, right?
Yeah, I'm really curious about that. The article mentioned how valuable that subtle and soft communication is becoming.
Right.
But I think some of our listeners might be wondering what that actually looks like in practice.
Yeah.
Could you maybe elaborate on that a bit?
Sure. Traditional marketing often relied on being loud and attention grabbing,
Right.
But in the online world, people are just overloaded with information.
Yeah.
You crave authenticity and a genuine connection. And that's where this subtle approach comes in.
Right.
Women, with their natural ability to empathize and build relationships, excel at creating that sense of trust and understanding.
It's about connecting on a deeper level, not just shouting your message from the rooftops.
Exactly. It's about creating a dialogue, inviting people in, and making them feel like they're part of a conversation rather than just a target audience.
Right.
And this shift toward more nuanced, value-driven communication is a perfect fit for the strengths that women content creators bring to the table.
So are we saying that women are inherently better at content creation than men? Because that's not what we're saying, right?
Not at all. It's
Okay.
not about saying one gender is better than the other. It's about recognizing that everyone brings unique strengths and perspectives to the table.
Right.
And historically, men have dominated fields like marketing and advertising. So it's exciting to see women entering this space and bringing their own voices and approaches, shaking things up a bit, you know?
Right. It's about adding more diversity to the conversation,
Yeah.
which ultimately leads to more creativity and innovation.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that this is about more than just content creation.
Yeah.
It's about women defining their own roles and contributions to society.
Right. The article highlights how content creation offers this sense of empowerment and independence, especially for women who might have faced roadblocks in traditional career paths.
Yeah.
It's like this whole new world of possibilities opens up.
And what's so great is that it doesn't require a specific degree or background.
Right.
You know, you don't need permission from anyone to get started. Content creation is a skill you can learn and develop on your own.
Right.
And that's incredibly empowering.
It's a truly democratic space, wouldn't you say?
In many ways, yes. It allows women to build their own businesses and brands completely on their own terms without being held back by those traditional gatekeepers.
And that ties directly back to the financial independence we talked about earlier. Content creation can be a legitimate source of income, whether it's through freelance work, building a platform, or even landing a full-time job in the growing field of content marketing.
Exactly. And as more women achieve financial independence through content creation, it creates this ripple effect. It empowers them to make choices and pursue opportunities they might not have had otherwise.
It's like this amazing cycle of empowerment, inspiring other women and girls to see what's possible and break free from those limiting beliefs about what they can achieve.
It really is. And that's what makes this trend so significant. It's not just about content creation. It's about societal change, about women claiming their rightful place as equals in the digital world and beyond.
Yeah, it's a powerful message of hope and possibility. But I think it's important to acknowledge that it's not all easy.
Right.
There are challenges and potential downsides to content creation as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like any field, it can be competitive, and building a sustainable career takes hard work, dedication, and resilience. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme by any means.
Right, and the article also points out that women still face certain societal expectations and pressures, even in the online world.
Right.
They might encounter online harassment or pressure to conform to certain ideals of beauty or behavior.
Unfortunately, those challenges don't just disappear when you enter the digital realm. But what's encouraging is that the online world also offers opportunities for women to connect and support each other, to build communities and challenge those harmful norms.
It's about creating a more inclusive and equitable space for everyone.
Exactly. And that requires ongoing awareness, education, and a commitment to holding each other accountable.
Speaking of accountability, are there any ethical considerations we should keep in mind when we talk about the rise of women in content creation? I mean, with all this talk of empowering women and shaping the online world, it's easy to get caught up in the positive aspects, but it's important to remember that content creation, like any form of communication, comes with responsibilities.
That's a great point. It's crucial to ensure that content is accurate, responsible, and respectful. Just because you have a platform doesn't mean you can say or do whatever you want without considering the potential consequences.
So it's not just about creating content for the sake of creating content. It's about using this platform for good.
Absolutely. It's about leveraging the power of storytelling and communication to make a positive impact, to inform, inspire, and empower others. And that applies whether you're a woman or a man, regardless of your background or identity.
I love that. So while there are definitely challenges to navigate, the overall trend of women in content creation seems to be a force for positive change, both for individual women and for society as a whole.
I wholeheartedly agree. It's a testament to the resilience, creativity, and entrepreneurial spirit of women, and it's shaping the future of online communication in some really profound ways.
It's exciting to think about what the future holds for women in content creation. We've talked about how diversity leads to innovation, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how that might play out in this specific realm. What kind of impact do you think this influx of women content creators will have on the creative landscape?
That's a great question. It's all about bringing together people from different backgrounds
Yeah.
with different experiences and perspectives to create a richer tapestry of ideas.
It's like adding more colors to the palette, create a more vibrant and nuanced picture.
Exactly. And that leads to more creative, engaging, and impactful content. It's not just about representation for the sake of representation. It's about the tangible benefits that diversity brings to the creative process.
And those benefits extend beyond the content itself. When we see ourselves reflected in the stories and voices that shape our world, it fosters a sense of belonging and connection.
Absolutely. It creates a more inclusive and welcoming online environment for everyone, which ultimately benefits us all.
It's about recognizing that everyone has a story to tell, and that those stories deserve to be heard.
And that by listening to those stories, by embracing different perspectives, we enrich our own understanding of the world and create a more vibrant and interconnected society.
Beautifully said. Now, before we move on to our final thoughts, I want to acknowledge that our conversation today has primarily focused on women's experiences.
That's an important point to bring up. While we've been exploring the specific challenges and opportunities faced by women in content creation, it's crucial to remember that this is a conversation that intersects with many other identities and experiences.
Yeah, it's not a monolithic group by any means.
Exactly. Women of color, LGBTQ individuals, people with disabilities, and those from diverse socioeconomic backgrounds all bring unique perspectives and challenges to the table.
And it's important to ensure that those voices are represented and amplified as well.
Absolutely. Inclusivity is not just a box to be checked. It's an ongoing process of listening, learning, and creating space for everyone to thrive.
Well said. As we head into the final part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this question. How can we ensure that as content creation continues to evolve, it becomes an even more inclusive and equitable space for everyone, regardless of their gender, background, or identity? This is something I'd like everyone listening to think about before we pick up in part 3. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of women in content creation. Before the break, we left you with a pretty big question, like, how can we make sure that this space becomes even more inclusive and equitable for everyone, no matter who they are or where they come from? It's a conversation that goes way beyond just gender.
Right. It really does. And it's a question with no easy answers. But I think the first step is awareness, recognizing that there are systemic barriers in place.
Right.
And actively working to dismantle them.
So it's not enough to just say, hey, everyone's welcome here,
Right.
and call it a day.
Exactly. It requires a much more proactive approach. We need to be intentional about seeking out diverse voices, amplifying those perspectives that have been marginalized, and creating opportunities for people who have been traditionally excluded.
So it's about actively leveling the playing field,
Right.
not just assuming it's level already.
Precisely. And
Yeah.
that involves addressing things like pay equity, making sure everyone has access to the resources and training they need,
Right.
and creating more mentorship opportunities for those who might not have those traditional networks of support.
We also need to talk about, creating a safe and supportive environment online.
Mm-hmm.
The article we've been discussing mentioned that women can still face, harassment and discrimination in the digital world, even in spaces that are supposed to be about empowerment.
Yeah, that's a crucial point.
Yeah.
We need to have clear community guidelines in place, make sure those guidelines are actually enforced, and provide ways for people to report abuse or harassment
Right.
without fear of retaliation.
It's about creating a culture where everyone feels respected, valued, and safe to express themselves authentically.
And that's something we all have a role to play in creating. It's
Yeah.
not just the responsibility of platforms or individual creators. It's a collective effort. We need to hold each other accountable
Yeah.
and work together to build a more inclusive and equitable online world.
So where do we go from here? I mean, we've talked about the challenges, the opportunities, and the need for greater inclusivity in the world of content creation. But, at the end of the day, this is really a story about human connection, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
At its core, content creation is about sharing our stories, our perspectives, our experiences with the world,
Right.
and connecting with other human beings who resonate with those narratives.
It's about building bridges, fostering understanding and empathy, and creating a sense of community, especially in a world that can often feel so isolating.
And as our world becomes increasingly dominated by algorithms and AI, that human connection becomes even more precious.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point to remember. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this final thought. Whether you're creating content, consuming it, or just observing the online world, remember the power of human connection. Seek out diverse voices, amplify those perspectives that have been marginalized, and use your own voice to make the digital world a more inclusive and equitable space for everyone.
Beautifully said. Thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration. We hope you've gained some new insights, some inspiration, and maybe even a spark of motivation to create something meaningful yourself.
And remember, your voice matters. Thanks for listening.